can we listen to a few more of the audio clips? I know you've brought more with you. Maybe you want to lead in the next few that we have, because they're so creative.
Yeah, these are two little excerpts from the course and from the book. One is called Memoir, and the next one is the audio tours. And these were done to kind of scaffold sort of a scope and sequence of activities that taught kids, how to do podcasting effectively. The first one, Memoir, it's a little clip. What I was trying to do is get kids to effectively use their voice, adapt their tone. And what I did was I had a lot of successful work when I taught writing to kids using Memoir. So this is one of the memoirs from the students. It's a little excerpt from that. Then the second one, the audio tours, what I was trying to... One theme throughout the course and actually through podcasting is the connection between remix practices and research, where I really think if you teach kids how to be good remixers, they're going to learn how to synthesize a lot of different information and points of view and become good researchers. And this was an audio tour. They had to pick a favorite place of theirs, give an audio tour, but they had to incorporate some background research as well as interviews with other people familiar with the place. So again, it was about tapping into their interests and ideas, and I guess we can play the clips.
All right.
I don't think I've had an extraordinary life, but there are some moments that I can't help but be proud of. Like the time I won my first video game tournament. It happened 3 years ago. I had just been introduced to this new game shop when I saw that they had a tournament for a game that I considered myself to be very good. You might be wondering what I meant by practicing. Well, the game was a fighting game, so naturally, me and Damien used characters to fight each other constantly. I practiced using 2 characters, but Damien decided he would only practice using 1. Unfortunately, that decision came back to bite him when the tournament came pushover. He quickly beat me in the first round, but I came back and barely managed to scrape a win in the second. Though it may sound cliche, it all came down to the final match.
And I will be providing you with the ultimate tour through Persian Field Park. First of all, this park is located in Jersey City, New Jersey, and it is one of the biggest parks there.
And look around you. If you didn't notice, the atmosphere is made to feel like you're in an Italian courtyard. Where there was an orchestra pit, there is now a baptismal pool.
All right. Chris, I noticed that in your description of these clips, you mentioned that they were sequenced to demonstrate attributes that are kind of unique to audio and to 21st century literacy. Could you explain this in more detail for us?
Oh, yeah. Well, the memoir was that the trick was starting with one of the kids' primary tools, which was their voice. From there, we kind of built on to other things, music, sound effects, and remix. But that was a building block. And then the second, the audio tours, first they were sort of simulated, they were mirrored for an authentic activity, which there are a lot of different audio tours on iTunes. So we took this authentic activity that is popular outside of schools and tried to make it relevant to kids and teachable. And as I said in the intro, well, the key to the audio tour that I was really pretty proud of was that they were doing research skills, but they weren't bogged down with APA or MLA style or how to cite, but the real core mechanics of what research is all about, which is getting a lot of information from a lot of different sources, using that to sort of build as well as extend their purpose and idea, and doing it in a coherent and cohesive way. Synthesis, I think, is the key. So I think the idea of one thing I try to do in the course, and this is a 21st century skill, is really teach them sort of ethical ways to appropriate other sources of information, whether it's a fact, a music clip, a sound effect. It's okay to use other people's material, information, but then at the end, and if you listen, you can listen to the full versions of these. If you cite it and if you use it to make an original idea, I think kids have trouble. They struggle with that a little bit. If you ask them to write a research paper on Marie Curie, sometimes I can't blame them for just plagiarizing off, Wikipedia, because it's really not their original idea. They don't have ownership of it. But when you ask them to start with their original idea, but give them tools to sort of build with other people's material, I think it works really well. So that's what the audio tour and then a few other projects in the book go on from that.
Right. And you know, you mentioned 21st century literacies, a phrase that, for lack of better, we're all still using, 10 years into the 21st century. But I think more importantly, in the same sentence, you use the word ownership. And I think that when students take ownership of something and their creative juices are allowed to flow, and they're really not given this strict framework of, it must look like this when you're done, that's when they discover their passion and the hidden talent, or they take a new approach that works more with their learning style. So it really is quite marvelous and really does fall into that category of addressing the nets and the 21st century literacies. I've heard you also talk about that this incorporates the authentic use of podcasting. That word authentic, let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, two things. First, what I tried to do is look at how podcasting was used outside of schools. What people really went to podcasting for, what keeps them coming back. So ideas like the audio tour. There's actually the most popular podcast, I think not produced by commercial sources, is one, Pod Runner, which is for running and exercise. So what I did is I took those and I modeled developmentally appropriate units for kids based on what I thought they'd like and also what was really popular. Audio tours, this Pod Runner, different remix, like musical remix practices. Another thing you mentioned before, the idea of fun and passion. A lot of times we just associate that with like a creative skill or for the media engagement, but I've been doing a lot of reading about how that's really like a job skill. It's almost like a vocational skill.
Oh, for sure.
When we have to change jobs, what they say, like 12 times. The average 8th grader will have like 12 careers, 8 of which haven't been created yet. That unless they learn to sort of take their interest and correlate them with sort of activities that are done, in the real world, that's an important skill. So that's why I'm really gung-ho on, if the kid's interested in comic books or video games, to try to, harness that, but also extend it, and connect that to what's going on in the outside world. And podcasting was a real easy, all we needed was an $8 microphone, so it was a pretty accessible way to do it.
And those seeds that you're planting, truly, there's so much room under this umbrella of podcasting, and those seeds that you're planting then are the seeds of passion, so that when that person, that young child, student, does have to reinvent themselves over and over again in their lifetime, they'll be reinventing themselves under that umbrella of wherein their passion lies. They'll be reinventing themselves in something that they've discovered that A, they can be good at, that B, that keeps them engaged and excited and motivated. So maybe we'll have less and less people who wake up in the morning and dread going to their career for that day, because, just think about it. Therefore the quality of work will be better and the quality of life for these kids will be better. I know I tend to wax philosophic during these talks, but,
That's great. That's exactly
I get so inspired.
Units.
Yeah, I get so inspired when I hear teachers like you. Now, I know you brought another clip with you, a clip called Lear, and I think this is an important one. Let's talk about it.
This was another thing, actually, one of the things that you saw in a video clip first, and these two clips are from Shakespeare, but I've done other ones also, is use Foley art. Now, Foley art is just basically, I simplified it, using sort of ordinary objects to make sound effects.
Ingrateful fox, 'tis he.
Bind fast his corky arms.
What mean your graces? Good my friends, consider you are my guests. Do me no foul play, friends.
Bind him, I say.
Hard, O filthy traitor.
Unmerciful lady as you are, I'm none.
To this chair bind him. Villain, thou shalt find.
Ouch! By the kind gods, 'tis most ignoble done to pluck me by the beard.
So white and such a traitor.